Is bad credit keeping you from a good job? Coming up on the Workplace Wizard. Let me give you a little story. When I graduated from college, my credit was slaughtered. I'm talking about Jason Voorhees, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Michael Myers slaughtered. Because I was 17 years old when I started school. Didn't know anything about money, how to handle it. I would get my credit card statement and half of the time it said like Pizza Hut, China Express, more Pizza Hut, more China Express. And I was like, I certainly do eat out a lot. So I didn't have a real good understanding of how credit works. And I appreciate that my very first job that I got out of college, I worked for a nonprofit organization helping ex-offenders transition to the workforce and did like job readiness workshops. And if good credit was required for me to get that job, I wouldn't have gotten that job because my credit was just that bad. But I think it's important to understand the role that credit plays, especially with some businesses, organizations, institutions. Now, I've been trying to kind of wrap my mind around why credit checks are important when it comes to employment. And I can get it because I want to look at this from two perspectives. I want to look at it from the employee candidate perspective and from the business's perspective. I work in HR, so I have to look at it from both perspectives. From a business perspective, I can get, especially if they work in a industry that is banking, lending, anything to do with money, finances, whatever, I could see why that's important. But the only issue I have with that the reasoning that a lot of companies have behind having those policies is that they believe that a person with poor credit or high debt, whatever, they may be or have a tendency to steal or do something fraudulent. And so, when you talk to them, that's what they say. And so I've been trying to like do some research to kind of like, okay, let's see, is there any research, any findings to kind of support that? And there is none. There is no link between a person's credit rating or debt to income ratio, whatever, and their propensity to steal or do anything fraudulent. So why do we have those policies? And I think sometimes what we end up doing is that we end up locking out a lot of people, even in non-financial institutions. We lock out a lot of people from opportunities to actually come out of the poverty that they're in. But I think it's important to understand from an employee, just to kind of inform the employee or the candidate, that typically, now I don't know, every organization is different, but typically when a company, organization, institution runs your credit, they're not getting like a credit score. They're looking at the amount of debt that you have. They're looking at your payment history. Things, they're not gonna get like, well, you got a 650, a 700, 820 or something like that. They're looking at how you actually pay your bills and what your level of debt is. So they're not like getting a score per se. And I can understand that if you're an employee, if you're a candidate looking for a job and you're out here feeling as though like, hey, I got bad credit, so there's not a chance in the world, it would kind of discourage you. So I'm trying to I want businesses to take a more contemporary look at this, that are credit ratings, or should a credit rating play a role in an employment decision? Does it really matter? Is there a link between a person's performance and their credit? And there really isn't any research to support it. A lot of companies have these policies just because they've always had them, but there's really nothing behind it to support why they actually practice it, even in financial institutions. Because I'm pretty sure that Bernie Madoff, you look him up, had good credit, all right? And they robbed people dry and then dried out retirements. And then if you think about it on a larger scale, think about some of these large banks in 2008, 2009 with the financial crisis. They had to get bailed out, did they not? Because they were selling mortgages to, they were issuing subprime mortgages. Now, I will say this, until those companies change those policies, I think it's important, if you are seeking employment or you will be in the looking for a job, the job market, it's important to start thinking about what your credit looks like. So start doing some things. If those student loans are in default, right? Start making an effort to try to get those things out of default, because if you need to find another job, listen, and I know they have all these credit repair, things going on right now, but student loans are not coming off, okay? I don't care what they get off. They are not getting defaulted student loans off of your credit report. I'm just letting you know. So if you are going to be in the job market, start thinking about what your credit looks like, especially if, me, I was 17 when I started college. So again, I didn't have much experience with money, how to handle it. And I think now, if I'm not mistaken, there's like a law that requires a parent's signature. They have to be over 21 or something like that. So they kind of have these stipulations in line to help people from getting in some of the situations that I got in and others got in when they were trying to get into the job market. So it's a lot that goes into looking for employment or becoming a candidate for employment when it comes to credit. So I would ask companies, think about your policies. Are they really playing a role in selecting the best candidate? And until those companies, start revising and modifying some of those policies, if you are going to be a candidate in the workforce, you need to start looking at what your credit looks like, because a large majority of companies conduct credit reports, they conduct credit checks in their selection process. Now, they may not consider it completely, it may only weigh like 15% in their decision making, but it does weigh nonetheless. So again, think about that if you're going to be looking for a job. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Listen, if there are any particular subjects that you want me to talk about, put it in the comment section. Let me know. I got stuff lined up until the end of the year, but if there's some things in particular that you want to hear my opinion of, my thoughts of, my professional perspective about, let me know. We'll come up with a vlog about that particular subject. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, right? The Workplace Wizard on YouTube. Visit me on LinkedIn, Jamie, Jami, Mack, M-A-C-K. All right, Instagram, The Workplace Wizard as well. So again, thank you all so much. You all have a great day. See you next time.